Good day, everybody. I am recording this video to give you a bit more information on how part of part of an upcoming assignment works with respect to Canvas. And this is a feature that you are going to be using quite often throughout the course of the semester. It's a part of the peer review function within Canvas, and you're going to be using it on your chapter activities, almost all of them except for one. And you'll also be using it when you are completing peer review for units 1 and 2. So I want to make sure that you are feeling comfortable with what the expectations are with respect to the feedback you will be giving to your classmates. So as a little bit of a reminder, the very first activity that you will actually be completing is for Chapter 5. The activity itself is not due until Friday, January 21st, but some people do like to work a little bit ahead. And with respect to peer review, sometimes people can get a little bit concerned because they will complete their activity and they're kind of chomping at the bit in terms of when are they going to, be assigned their reviewers. Well, when it comes to these chapter activities, you will not be assigned two people's activities to provide feedback on until the deadline has actually expired. So the assignment is due by 11:59 p.m. on Friday, January 21st. As soon as that time has passed, Canvas will automatically assign you two of your classmates' assignments to go in and provide feedback on. And you will then have until 11:59 p.m. on Monday, January 24th to actually provide that feedback. And it's pretty much the same pattern you're going to see throughout the course of the semester. So for the activities, you will be providing feedback to two of your classmates, and they will randomly be assigned by the Canvas program. When it comes to the rough drafts for your Unit 1 and Unit 2 assignment, you will be reviewing the papers of the group members that you have been assigned that you're going to work with for the Unit 3 project. So there will be more people in those groups. You will be providing, more in-depth feedback for those activities. And so just kind of keep in mind the differences in the numbers and the fact that you will have a permanent group for peer review for your unit papers, but you will have randomly assigned classmates for the chapter activities. Now, when we look at the actual Canvas course page, one thing I want to point out is that under the technology tutorials section, if you click on that, it brings you to the module. You will see a link right here that is Canvas and peer review. And if you go into this area right here, it brings up a resource that, talks about, an overview for feedback. How do I actually submit, and so you've got a lot of information right here. It also talks about being able to see, if it was submitted. And if you keep scrolling through, it talks about how do you use the rubric, how do you insert, like if there are points, keep going through the idea of being able to leave, comments. Now, some of the things that aren't necessarily explicitly stated right here that I do want to kind of point out is in your home screen where you've got this to-do area. Once you've been assigned peer reviews, they should show up here in your to-do list. And you should be able to click on those peer reviews and to be able to go into it. Another area where you'll be able to get to them is you could click on assignments over here on the left-hand side. You could click on modules over here. If you know that you're working on, one of the actual, peer review for one of the unit assignments, you could click on here. Otherwise, you could go to McGraw-Hill Quizzes and Activities, which is what I'm going to click on now, because the first one you're going to be doing is for this Chapter 5 activity. So when I click in here, this is another area where if there are peer reviews, once you have actually submitted the assignment, you should also see them in this area. Now, a few things that I can't actually completely show here because I'm only in a student view, I'm not actually a student in the class, is the actual evaluation, going through clicking on the different boxes like you kind of see in this tutorial here, where you've got your rubric pulled up. So a few things that I do want to kind of point out with respect to, the rubric itself is that there is this little comment box, and you will go in and you will check the appropriate box, and then you will leave feedback. There are no points here at all. So if you look at someone's Chapter 5 activity submission and you feel that they fully and completely answered the prompt, then you'll click this. If it was somewhat this, if it was not at all this, and then you will see this little comment option for you to actually explain why you picked what you did. Even if you said full and completely, how and why do you think they full and completely answered the prompt for the Chapter 5 activity? Now, when it comes to the word count, yes, off by less than 25, off by, 25 or more words, you can actually, in terms of the comment, what was the word count in terms of what they had to submit? Now, these are really easy for the most part, but where it actually gets a little bit more challenging is the activity question response. And this can be a little bit confusing because sometimes I've had students think that the person whose paper they are reviewing, that they were supposed to answer the question, when in fact, it is the reviewer who is supposed to answer the question. And so when you click on question answered, it's did you answer the question for the person whose paper you were assigned, or did you not answer the question? So if you click on question answered, again, you're going to click the little comment bubble, and that's where you're going to answer the question. You are not going to answer the question in some additional add comment area. You will do it directly in the rubric with this little bubble here. Now, you might be asking, what is it that I'm talking about with respect to these, activity questions? So if we pull up the actual weekly activity directions, this is how it works. For your initial submission for Chapter 5, you are going to write a 1-paragraph descriptive narrative about yourself in the first person point of view. Then you are going to revise your narrative, which means you're going to write another 1-paragraph descriptive narrative about yourself, but this time you're going to do it in the third person point of view. And then it gives a little bit of an example of how that shift would look. So that's all you do for your initial submission. And then once you are assigned 2 classmates' activities to respond to, as the responder, you are going to answer this question. How does this shift in viewpoint affect the audience's engagement with the text? Otherwise, how does the shift in viewpoint affect your engagement with the text, because you are the audience? So you will answer this question for the 2 people whose papers or whose activities you are assigned to respond to. And that is the general process that you are going to go through. You don't answer this question for your own activity. You answer it for the ones completed by your classmates that you were assigned. So hopefully this makes sense in terms of how that works out. And you'll notice that, all of the different chapter activities, all of the details are here on this assignment sheet, as well as those additional questions. So you will never answer this question about your own work. You will answer these questions about the work of your classmates. So keep that in mind. And there will be that little, comment bubble box that you will click on, and you will type your response in that area. So it will all be contained within that rubric. Now, another thing to keep in mind, and this is very important, is that you cannot start a review or start a response and come back and finish it later. If you click submit, you're done and out. There's no going back to fix anything. So if you only get partway through and you go off and take a break and everything times out, it'll auto submit it for you and it'll be incomplete. So when you sit down to do your activity responses, you want to make sure that you're able to sit down and get them done. And this will be especially true when you're sitting down and you are actually doing peer review, because the peer review rubrics are substantially more sophisticated and there is a lot more information that you are answering. And this is directly connected to the grading rubric. And I know that this is a little bit, in advance, but I do want to take the time to point out the fact that all of the detailed descriptions for what each one of these criteria means is linked from the course syllabus. So in order to be able to fully answer these questions and understand what is the expectation for you as a peer reviewer, as well as for you as a writer, you can use that rubric that I have created to give you more detailed information on what does this look like as being highly effective. What is somewhat effective? So instead of just saying highly effective, there's a lot of text written to give you an idea of what that actually means. So if you do have any questions, especially as we are just looking into doing the less intensive activity responses coming up in the future after you've watched this video, please let me know. So that way I can, we can head off any potential problems in advance and help this process run more smoothly.